That one person out there that was probably Justin. There it is. There you go. Hey, we back. Yeah, now we got sound, right, guys? Sorry about that.
We back.
Wow,
we
man,
back.
you guys missed that whole 7 minutes of golden goodness.
Those were
Unbelievable.
Those are 7 minutes you're never gonna get
So
back.
good to be home. Back home. So, wow. That's awesome. That's really awesome. Well, welcome to Reality Brief, guys.
Yeah, welcome back.
I haven't opened up the YouTube. Is there anybody in there yelling that we're just pictures of us? Hi, it's
let's see,
pictures of us.
We got two watching right now.
No, it's pictures of us. Hey, guys.
Hey.
All right,
I guess
so
one of whom is me.
I'll go ahead and start this over for you. And if you're on the radio, sorry, you got to hear this again.
Well, and maybe second chances are important. Maybe we can go ahead and frame this, in a better light this time around.
Possibly with no ads.
Yeah, possibly. Oh yeah.
I think it sounded pretty good the first time.
Yeah, I thought
Well,
so too.
anyhow, if you're hearing this for the first time or the second time,
welcome to Reality Brief on RadioFradio.com.
That's right.
Yep.
I'm Dan.
It's Wednesday.
This is Dawn. It's Wednesday. It's time for your reality brief. This week, it is our year in review. We're going to take a look back at all the crazy shit that happened in 2016.
Crazy.
And, I don't know about you,
Crazy.
Don, but I'm hoping that 2017 is going to be to politicians what 2016 was to celebrities.
Well, that's a good one. You think people will be crying on social media like, oh my God, Joe Biden died? Think that's possible?
Yeah, candlelight vigil for fucking Harry Reid.
Dude, on the way to come from the secret undisclosed location.
Kickstarter for Michael Chertoff's kids.
I saw a billboard today, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it had Carrie Fisher, like Princess Leia, whatever. And it just said Carrie Fisher. That was the billboard.
It just said Carrie Fisher.
I was like, no! Facebook is on the billboards now! So anyway, we got this interesting tidbit coming out of Europe. All right? What it means exactly, no one knows. But it's a mystery. As NATO Auditor General is found shot dead in suspicious circumstances. So again, for those that you were watching but couldn't hear us, let us reiterate.
We may have
This
been
is a
interrupted
NATO
by ads
auditor,
as well.
okay? He's found shot dead. He's an auditor. An auditor, meaning he's looking for things.
He's
Just keep that in mind now.
Was his last name Clouseau?
So, police in Belgium are probing the death of a high-ranking NATO official after his body was discovered in a car with a gunshot wound to the head.
Do you have a license for this?
Okay, so, for those of you out there, he's killed himself. Well, according to reports, the 62-year-old Auditor General of NATO was found miles away from both his home and office. His body was found in Belgian town of Adine, 62 miles away from his home in Lens on December 16th. So this is kind of old, and we're just now hearing about it. According to local newspaper reports, Mr. Sandelin was the registered keeper of 3 weapons. However, the gun found at the scene did not belong to him. So would he just go and buy a new gun just to kill himself? Maybe some people are weird, but
Maybe
bizarrely, blah, blah, it has been reported locally that the gun which killed him was found in the glove box. So, I hope if I ever kill myself, I could put the gun back in the glove box after I'm dead.
Yeah, like that's your last thought. You know what?
Yeah.
You don't want to leave a mess. You don't want shit to be awkward when the paramedic showed up. Put that shit in the glove box.
So this is why
have some decorum.
This is why we're just now hearing about this, because they say initial suggestions that it was possible suicide are incorrect. So that brings us back to
it's an awfully
this
Clinton-
guy is a
Clinton-esque
high-ranking
suicide.
NATO official, but he's an auditor. So that means he's looking into things, and he's looking into NATO, and he's finding things. So quite possibly he found something he shouldn't have.
Mm-hmm.
What could it be? Could it be something relating to the missile shield in Europe with Russia? You find some secret plans. Were they moving in weapons of mass destruction to be used in a false flag style attack somewhere.
Maybe it was something damning about how we overthrew Gaddafi to prevent the rise of a new economic bloc in Northern Africa.
I guess that's a possibility, but I would think it would be more Western Europe thing. I don't know.
Oh, it's south of Western
shit.
Europe, buddy.
It could be this guy found out that reptilians actually control this one part over there, and they're eating babies and shit, right?
Maybe he found Kissinger's nudes.
Who knows? But what we do know is the dude didn't kill himself. He found Kissinger's what?
Kissinger's nudes.
Whoa. Talk about reptilian. So, you guys want to read the rest of this, you're more than welcome to check it out. It's up at express.co.uk, and the title of the article is, maybe one day, Mystery as NATO Auditor General is found shot dead in suspicious circumstances. There you go. Right there for you.
That is some spooky shit.
Spooky! I mean, there's definitely something behind that one. Well, I mean, no doubt.
Yeah, no doubt.
Oh, I just got a message. I'm not getting audio on the YouTube.
Well,
Sorry, no, it's old though. I just got it. Okay, so what else we got on
Here
the
we are.
news docket for tonight?
Oh, man, we got all kinds of stuff. How about this one over here?
What is it? Go ahead. Go for it.
The thing about Egypt detaining the Al Jazeera reporter over fake news.
Oh, yeah. Dangerous precedents this fake news shit is setting. Dangerous. I mean, we all know the fake news is the one on the fucking TV. So when someone's really reporting on something, oh, fake news, and now they're arresting people for being fake news journalists. I mean, give me a break, dude.
Well, and that's the difference between America now and the USSR. This was pointed out to me by somebody who survived the USSR, that during the USSR, everybody knew that all the media was bullshit. There was no pretense of such a free press. And here in America, people are still under the illusion that, the news is legit news and that it's not all a bunch of bullshit.
So this is up on Yahoo, which is probably, you know what, maybe this is fake itself.
Yeah, that's very true.
I mean, is this like, a massive bombardment? Are they just trying to get people to just not believe anything and also simultaneously believe everything?
Well, I mean, the best bullshit has a bunch of truth woven into it, so.
So Egypt detains Jazeera reporter over fake news. So Cairo, it's coming out of Associated Press, picked up by Yahoo. Egypt has ordered the detention for 15 days of an Al Jazeera journalist accused of incitement and fabricating news, a prosecution official said on Sunday. Now, I know, it's Egypt, yeah, America, but listen, this is setting a precedence here. Just keep that in mind, guys.
Yeah.
I mean, all this stuff coming on over
The
here. What was the
reverberation.
main thing they were going apeshit on fake news about? Pizzagate, right?
Yep.
Pizzagate.
Pizzagate.
There's definitely something there.
And spirit cooking and all that. And
Granted, the case that has been built.
Personally, as an occultist myself, the whole spirit cooking thing kind of offends the shit out of me. I think it's gross, and to boil it to say, it's just performance art. You know what? That's nonsense. That shit was egregore creation 101.
That chick also had been quoted saying that if it's done in an artistic setting, like at a museum or whatever, you can consider it art. But it also has different meanings in different settings. So when they're getting together and they're having the big spirit cooking dinner party thing, it's not art. No.
Oh, it's not art?
No. When they do it at a museum, they're saying it's art. I mean, I don't think it's art at all.
Well, you know what? But magic itself is an art and a science.
It's true. It's true.
As any occultist will tell you. And, I mean, everything is symbolism. Everything in art is symbolism. Everything in magic is symbolism. So, somebody could say, where do you draw the line between art and magic? And, fuck, there is no line. There's barely even a hazy patch. The line is so scattered. The line is fucking motion blur in Adobe Photoshop on, like, fucking 150 pixels. There is no line between art and magic. You can't fucking come out and just say, oh, my intent was this and not this, and expect me to believe you if I know for a fact that you're involved in some sort of secret society, we can sense our own.
El Soga del Fugo, I summon you, Cthulhu!
Well,
I just want to go
You
on
got-
record as saying.
Hold on. We got a guest with us tonight, guys.
we sure do.
Go ahead. You were muted. Sorry.
I said I just wanted to take a moment.
You got to
and
talk
say,
into the mic.
I just want to take a moment and say, "Hail the Dark Master."
There you go. Hail
Yeah,
Dark
yeah,
Master.
Cthulhu
You heard it here
Fidel.
first on Reality Brief.
Your number one source for Cthulhu-related news.
All right, so
You know what? That's something we should throw out.
you guys want to read the rest of this? You can check it out. It's on Yahoo. It's probably a couple days old by
Something
now.
completely unrelated. You know what?
Right there. See it.
I
Look
think
at it. Love it.
I
No,
think this
no,
is
no,
news
come back
that's
here.
worth mentioning.
So
We just recently picked Don here just recently picked up this game called Mansions of Madness, and it is the shit. Play it.
portals.
Portals.
So then you got Turkey. And then we know there's been a lot of stuff happening in Turkey lately. All right, so last year what happened in Turkey? We had bombings, plenty of bombings all the time, right? There was a nightclub massacre. There was the Russian ambassador.
There was the Russian ambassador. There recently
And there was
been
also that
plenty of truck
UFO
bombings,
attack.
UFO sightings, border skirmishes,
Right.
all sorts of fun stuff.
Now, if you
Turkey doesn't
remember,
happen in places
you
these
remember
days.
the UFO attack, the alleged attack.
Yeah,
Well, to me, when we analyzed video and stuff and all the pictures and everything, it looked more like a friggin' meteor coming in and then some ships slowing it down. Like you guys,
like some sort of
the
orbital
videos out there.
bombardment.
You can go look at it. You can check our archives and look for the one where we did the Turkey attack and watch that right there on the Radio Free Radio YouTube channel.
It's in the show archives. Check
So
it out.
to me, it didn't seem like I was thinking maybe could possibly been maybe a small squadron of Trebs stopping an Earth killer or something. You know what I mean? But it doesn't matter. The point is how that even got out and spread was via Twitter. All right, you're not going to see that on the TV, right? So all these people posting these pictures and videos of all this stuff happening around them, and now. Geez, what happened? So basically, let me give you the gist of it. I'll pull this up here in a second. They're using social media to arrest people. So
Yeah, that's a very
and
dangerous
further and
president
further
indeed.
and further censoring things. So like, Turkey arrests 1,656 social media users since summer. Right? There was also the coup in Turkey. Remember?
Yeah, I do remember that.
You guys passing notes over there?
Huh? Yeah.
My vape makes a noise, and I just didn't want it to disturb the show. Just trying to see if you guys could hear it.
I don't know what mic they
We got more glitches.
I'm not sure what mic that is. So I just opened up all of them. Listen to the ambience of the room.
Yes.
So,
It's
Can you
very
hear me now?
Yes.
and this is just in the past 6 months. 1,656 people arrested for allegedly supporting terrorist organizations or insulting officials on social media, and are investigating at least 10,000 others.
Yo,
Right.
if that ever becomes a crime in America, seriously, dude, we're both getting thrown under the jail. Seriously, for making fun
when-
of politicians.
Fuck.
When
I am fucked. I'm beyond fucked.
Yeah, dude, like when something happens, whatever it may be, and there's a crackdown, maybe there's an internet shutdown, whatever, we're the first to go.
Oh yeah.
And everyone that's like us, and there's tons and tons of people out there doing the same, talking about the stuff that we're talking about. All a bunch of little voices.
In the
They
wilderness,
can't silence it. You know what I mean? Because there's just too many.
having to listen through the dead wood of society, through the dead trees of modern civilization for others of their tribe.
So when they
But
crack
I know
down
there are others
with
out
this
there
fake
who think about
news,
this kind of shit.
when they crack down with this fake news,
Yep.
we're the first ones to go because we're
Well-
not CNN.
just for making fun of politicians alone. Jesus, what?
Well, I mean, yeah. When they start doing that,
I basically told Tim Kaine to his face that
You'd have to-
taxation is theft. He didn't like that shit.
I think they would have a little bit harder time doing that than cracking down on people like me and you doing this right here. Because look at Facebook, look at Twitter. At least half of it is people making fun of politicians. I mean, what are you going to do? Arrest half the country? That's not going to happen unless they're bringing back death camps, come back in style or something. You know what I mean? Like, which is always a possibility because we know about an end game where they want to reduce the population.
We know about Agenda 21. We know about the FEMA camps. We know about all that fun stuff.
Look,
plan to
FEMA
herd
camps-
Americans into megacities.
FEMA camps is like an issue that people are like, oh, this crazy stuff. There's no camps anywhere. There's not. Let me tell you something.
They're not called camps.
They have designated zones, right? There's one
just
right here in
area
Virginia,
on
Fort
federal
AP Hill.
land.
Fort
Yeah.
AP Hill, right? They could put up a refugee-style camp complete with razor wire in hours. A huge one. They've got these machines. They're like little golf carts, essentially, that have wheels and rounds of razor wire, and they just go.
Yeah. If you
and
wanna
it's
see
just
footage
dropping
of
it
'em,
around. Just look it up on YouTube.
I think it
man.
was a couple of years ago. They remade this old horror flick called The Crazies, and there was a really good example of this, where like they come to this little bumfuck nowhere Midwest town, and just put up a FEMA camp in hours. It's just like boom, it's up.
Dude, easily, very quickly. Now, WikiLeaks. So it appears that Assange is actually okay. And all of the speculation about him being captured or dead was just that, speculation. And he's alive.
But how do we know? Has there been any confirmation of PGP?
Why don't you
keys?
look up and see if there's been a PGP
Oh, okay.
while I do this?
On it, Sarge.
Right. That's Mr. Sarge to you.
Yeah.
So we got this article out of Zero Hedge, and it's essentially highlighting some tweets from WikiLeaks. And it says, WikiLeaks hints at huge upcoming revelations. 2017 will blow you away. And this is up on Zero Hedge. You guys can take I'm not going to read the whole thing. We're not going to spend that much time on it. But ahead of Julian Assange's interview tonight on Fox News with Sean Hannity, which is what I was talking about. And, you know, tonight there's actually supposed to be another clip. Maybe not a full hour, but anyway. In which we previewed last night, the WikiLeaks founder will again deny on the record that Russia was the source of the hacked Democratic emails, stating that our source is not the Russian government and it's not a state party. WikiLeaks decided to engage in some creative marketing, and on Monday afternoon promised that 2017 will be an even bigger year for leaks than 2016, which is, if it's true, could be quite interesting.
All right, so here's what happens when you go to Bing and search for Assange released PGP key and try to limit the search to 24 hours. You get the same article that looks like it's regurgitated by a bunch of different sites.
Okay, what is it? Go ahead, read it to us.
All right, well, let's see.
Because, I'm really on the fence. I'll be honest. I haven't had time to go and look and watch these videos. Like, the Sean Hannity thing just came out last night, so...
That's what this tells us, and I'm sorry if there's ads that pop in on this. I have no control over that. But this is what's actually released from the Associated Press. That's why it's regurgitated.
okay.
This is the AP article. Trump uses Assange to cast doubt on Intel case on hacking. In this Friday... Yeah. In this Friday, February 5th, 2016, file photo, blah, blah, blah. Okay, file photo, nobody gives a fuck. This is dated today, the 4th. President-elect Donald Trump is using WikiLeaks founder Julian Assange to cast doubt on the U.S. intelligence community's case that Russia was behind the hacking of the DNC ahead of the 2016 election, and he's suggesting that the DNC is to blame for the hacking of its computers and emails, including the top Hillary Clinton advisor John Podesta. Trump continued his tweet storm Wednesday by arguing that DNC did not have a hacking defense and questioning why the Democratic Party had not responded to the terrible things that they've done and said. He appeared to be referring to information in the DNC emails that was made public and led to the resignation of DNC chairwoman and other officials. Quote, Julian Assange said a 14-year-old could have hacked Podesta, which is why was the DNC so careless? Also, said Russians did not give him the info, Trump tweeted early Wednesday. It was a striking spectacle for the incoming president to give credibility to Assange, whose organization has been under criminal investigation for its role in classified information leaks. Assange says that a source for the government hacked emails WikiLeaks published during the campaign was not a government, but his assertion that has left open the possibility that they came from a third party.
Well, listen, regarding the DNC leaks, it is my belief that it was that Seth guy that got killed. The one that got murdered in the streets of D.C.?
Yep, that makes
DNC
sense.
cipher?
Yep. So, and I mean, I see, I can
And
see
in
it
that
look
case,
between
it's
the
not a
lines.
hack, it's a leak.
Yeah, well, the meta of what's really going on is that it's, different factions vying for power within the government itself. You've got, the Clinton crime cabal splitting off and going, trying to go a different way from the original neocon cabal. And so all this is just a struggle for power.
Well, I mean, if you take it back even further with the European and American sects, it always seems like the American sect wants quickly, war, and the European sect wants to draw it out and through a more socialist
Like a game
agenda.
of chess.
And I say socialist with quotes because we know all that ists and isms is a bunch of bullshit.
Either you're free or you're not. Either you live the way you want to live or you live the way somebody else tells you to live.
Those isms are all just a ways for the higher powers
Right.
of the government
To categorize everybody, it's
and divide and conquer.
Exactly. What? Oh, dang it.
Yep.
Oh, look at that.
And ultimately,
Hey.
at the end of the day, folks, remember, there is no authority but yourself.
Keep going, Dan.
That's something I got turned on to this year. A cat that I'd heard a lot about, but never really gotten the chance to get into his stuff, and I had a chance to really look at some of his writings and watch some of his videos this year. There's this guy Larkin Rose, and he's written this thing called the Most Dangerous Superstition. And what he's referring to by the most dangerous superstition is the idea that there is such a thing as any legitimate authority over you. And I kind of like his argument about how you have no such power to delegate a right that you don't have to somebody else. Like, let's say, is it okay for me to rob Don over here? If I'm going to do something good with that money, like give it to kids with ass cancer or whatever, should I do that? Well, I could, but it's not morally right. Now, could I tell Lori here that, hey, I need you to go rob Don for me. We got to give some money to kids with ass cancer. That doesn't make it okay. Now, if me, Lori, and everybody else on the street decide that we ought to rob Don to go give his money to kids with ass cancer, it still doesn't make it okay because Don's still getting robbed. So you can logically expand this out to the entire nation. If the entire nation says it's okay to rob somebody, does it make it okay? No, it does not, morally. So, therefore, taxation is theft, and all government is a hallucination. Or all authority is a hallucination.
Thank you for clarifying that, Dan.
Yeah, no problem.
So, on the broader. Well,
But back to Trump and Assange.
Yeah.
So let's see. The American intelligence community and Democrats and Republicans on Capitol Hill insist that Russia was behind the hacks, but Trump has repeatedly dismissed that allegation, challenging the intelligence experts who will join him.
if Trump knows something, why don't he just say what it is?
He doesn't know anything. though.
Exactly.
He's
He's just playing the game.
He's a
playing
puppet.
the
Way
game,
in over
man.
his head.
He's playing the game, and you could tell by the people he surrounded himself with. It's the same old players, and it's the same financial interests that are going to be controlling everything, siphoning off people's souls basically
it ought to
through a
be-
perpetual debt slavery system.
It ought to be common knowledge
Trademark.
to anybody that there's a revolving door, pretty much, between the highest levels of industry and the highest levels of state.
And it doesn't matter if it's Hillary Clinton, if it's Donald Trump, it's the same people running the show. And, we don't really, we haven't really been, well, I guess we did. If you want to take it back, who are those same people? Who's behind those financial institutions? And as we found, well, it's space Nazis.
Well, at the very least, it's the same financial leviathan that runs the world. But yeah, it very could be space Nazis.
To boil it down to the lowest common
people.
denominator is damn
Lizard
space
people.
Nazis. No, it's actually because they've all come out of the actual Nazi party, like from way back when.
Well, yeah, that's where the New World
And
Order came.
the Nazi
in its
Party was
current
nothing but an
incarnation
occultic
came
front.
From.
Right.
So, and then it all ties in together behind there with the Golden Dawn, and
Well, and
so
me personally, that's why I want to learn more about the American lodges. just recently I joined the Ordo Templi Orientis Facebook group, and I want to go check out Othelma Lodge. I know that during World War II, Crowley and the British and American Golden Dawn chapters, and later on Astrum Argentum and Ordo Templientis.
Yeah, they were doing
some of the
ceremonies,
even some of the
joint
chaos
ceremonies.
magic movements. They were all doing joint magical operations against the Nazis.
No, they were doing shit with them, dude.
See, that's a different narrative that I'm hearing. Then,
Well, we probably will never know the actual truth. So take away
everything.
From that.
I've read a lot about the Golden Dawn. And from what I understand, that they basically there are a lot of essentially libertarians in the libertarians and anarchists in the American.
Well, I don't know about the American factions.
In the American
but
factions.
the English factions.
Okay, well the English faction could go either way.
I was just about to say, in circles of people that I run with, or people that I know, or things that are interesting to me that I pursue the knowledge of.
Mm-hmm.
And a story that I have heard in my circles of people is that there was a coven of witches in England that. Hello? Okay.
Hey, we can hear you now. You gotta eat the mic.
There was a coven of witches in England that simultaneously got together in a ritual that the high priestesses and high priests in covens and gatherings over in England had gotten together during World War II and stood on the beaches of England to keep Hitler off of their shores during World War II. And I don't know.
Well, no, it did. It did keep
a
them out of their
valid
skies, but
story,
it kept them off of the shores.
Or people that Dan are talking about that have specific names. I would not know that part of it. But to know it's a legendary story that I've heard told around many people's fires about the witches in England that held Hitler's forces off of the coast of England.
That's awesome.
Well,
yeah, the Golden Dawn is
that's what I'm saying is I don't know the names.
Kinda. Gerald Gardner did write most of modern Wicca's rituals. You know what I mean? Gerald Gardner and Aleister Crowley were instrumental in the rebirth of modern Wicca and modern paganism as we know them. But, of course, that's the organized Wicca, the organized paganism. And there's a lot of unorganized stuff that's just folk magic that goes back, eons. Or at least generations and generations. Centuries, at least.
Well, some of the research that I did was showing me that there was factions, and it's just like anything else. There's most possibly splits within those orders.
Oh, absolutely.
So... But the research I did showed that at least the English factions were doing joint rituals.
There's an old adage saying that you get 4 Jews in a room and you'll get 10 opinions, and with ceremonial magicians it's even worse. Well, I can say that. Hey, I can make the jokes here. But yeah, seriously, magicians are even worse. You get 5 of us in a room and you'll have 20 opinions, from every different side of the tree of life.
So, WikiLeaks tweeted out, apparently, it looks like we missed that Thursday, 9 a.m. That's tomorrow morning. Okay, so tomorrow morning there's an AMA. Assange is doing an AMA. I mean, if you don't know what an AMA is, it's an Ask Me Anything. It's on Reddit.
Okay.
It's another social media site, and basically they'll have people come in from whatever, and they'll just be like, hey, I'll take questions now, and they'll do it for like an hour or two, whatever. So apparently Assange is doing an AMA at 9:00 tomorrow. But so the tweet was, if you thought 2016 was a big WikiLeaks year, 2017 will blow you away. Help WikiLeaks prepare for the showdown, and they're asking for money too. So obviously they got operating costs. I don't begrudge them that, but we'll see what they got to say, I guess, man.
Yeah, it'll be exciting. I don't know. I really want to know if this is really Assange or is it a body double. Because, I did that search for a PGP key thing, and, nothing's really coming up saying about that, Assange released a PGP key on this date.
Well, I don't know. We'll have to ask Phantom Spy about that. He's probably more in the loop on that than us.
Yeah, it'd be pretty groovy if he was listening.
He's probably not.
Yeah,
so, what happened this year? It's like this year was just insane, man. Like, people
Meme magic.
just
The rise of meme magic.
yeah, meme magic. Well, that's been coming for years, but people in general this year has just been so. This is like, I'm not super old or nothing, you know what I mean? But I've been around for a little bit, and this is definitely the most divisive. Now, I thought Obama was bad. Like, when Obama was running for president in 2008, it was divisive. It was real divisive. You know what I mean? But it's just like even worse. It's like, I don't understand it, man. It's like we're building towards self-destruct almost. Like we're just going to rip each other apart. I mean, they literally burnt down Portland because Donald Trump is president. Like it matters if it was Hillary Clinton or not.
Yeah, I mean, either way, the same financial interests are going to win.
So, this is their strategy of divide and conquer working great. They own both dogs in the race. And, people want to say, oh, Trump ain't owned by them. Trump is going to buck. He's a good guy. Then why do he surround himself with him?
Yeah, why is he, he says he's going to drain the swamp.
And it's overflowing. It's like we said last time. He's going to drain the swamp by filling it up so much it comes out over the sides.
Yeah.
That
shit's
we
funny.
got like the Pizzagate thing.
Like
Look, now I'll give you this. Look, it is a really large case again to make this case. The Podesta, the kidnappings, all that, Comet Ping Pong, but it wouldn't hold up in court. They would have to. Someone needs to actually go and investigate. You know what I mean? Like, because the type of stuff that's been doing now is just basically putting together circumstantial evidence. Now it's overwhelming, and it's obvious that anyone, halfway looking at it, they're like, damn, something is definitely going on here. But there's nothing that will stand in court. There's no shadow of a doubt yet. They haven't caught the kids in chains. You know what I mean? Like, that's what needs to happen. And if they do, are they going to do anything about it? Are they going to keep covering it up like they did in Belgium, like they do all over the world?
I think they're just going to keep trying to shovel it under the rug and knock off anybody else.
Now we know that Trump
went
to Epstein's Island. Is he? Where does he factor into Pizzagate? Is he part of this child sex slavery ring? Or even worse, some people are speculating that they're using them in ritual sacrifices. Well, the cult of Saturn style.
Yeah, we know about the whole Bohemian Grove and the
mock ceremonies.
The cremation of care.
Yeah, the cremation of care is a mock sacrifice, and it is of a child. But, with these rings and these abduction rings and God knows what else these poor kids are having to go through, I mean, is it just purely a sexual thing? Or does it go deeper? Is it more sinister? Are they sacrificing children? Are they drinking their blood because they think it makes them freaking invincible or something?
I used to know somebody that believed that the American Foundation for Missing and Exploited Children and McDonald's were in cahoots together, and that the missing
like the
children,
Ronald McDonald House?
No, the missing children are part of chicken, that they're actually in the chicken nuggets.
Oh, that's rough.
That's fucked up.
No. That's rough, man.
That's why I don't eat Scrapple.
Have you guys ever seen the movie Five Fingers?
No.
Have you heard of it?
Mm-mm.
Okay, so basically, it's such a mindfuck movie, and it's interesting because it's kind of cultural. But basically, what this movie was about, it had, I think it was not Denzel. I see his face, but I can't think of his name right now. But basically, there's these guys on a bus, and they both get kidnapped. And the guy, one of the main characters in the movie is a Peace Corps operator, and he's going to Morocco for a food, like a global type food drive kind of thing for missionary charity.
Yeah.
And so the guy that he's kind of chummed around with on the talk on the bus, they both end up being kidnapped at this foreign airport. And they wake up together blindfolded and back to back, tied to chairs or whatever. And they're like, just do what they tell you, whatever, because they think they're kidnapped by terrorists. So basically, it's a good explanation and like a building up the foundation of like the last 5 minutes of the movie. It's actually worth the tell. You know what I'm saying, to hear it. So basically, what happened was the movie is just a mind fuck at every turn, because you imagine yourself, you're emotionally invested in this movie, because you begin to wonder how easy it would be for something like that. It's very probable. You know what I'm saying? This could easily happen in the times that we're living in.
Yeah.
So you emotionally invest in the movie right away, and all of a sudden, like, somebody comes in it's obvious they're making it that they can hear them come in the room. So they're like, shh, and then they start talking to this other guy, and all the guy hears is a gunshot and then nothing. So he thinks that the guy he's been kidnapped, the guy he chummed around with on the bus, just got killed by terrorists.
Jesus.
So then it goes into the movie, and so they start starving this guy, and the main character. I'm trying to think of another movie he's been in. He's fairly popular celebrity kind of guy, but he played on. Completely blank.
It doesn't matter who he is.
Yeah, I'm sorry. But anyway, so he's dressed in a white robe with the cap that Muslims wear, and he comes in and he starts interrogating the guy, and he starts having flashbacks to like these little phone calls that they made with code words and stuff like that. And the guy's like, "Look, I'm just a missionary trying to deliver some food to some hungry kids, and it evolved. The movie evolves where they start playing like good cop, bad cop with they brought a woman in with the tender touch and stuff like that to soothe him and calm him, because after a while they start cutting his fingers off.
Oh, jeez.
And the guy is a concert pianist. That's why the movie's called Five Fingers.
Oh.
So at the end of the movie, the main character that you think is the terrorist, right? So he tricks the guy into giving him the names of these co-ops, other covert agents and stuff throughout the world, and basically what their thing was that they broke him through torturing him. Mm-hmm. That's okay. So at the end of the movie, basically, the guy tricks him into giving him the names, and when he looks at the piece of paper, it just says "thank you," and the guy realizes how bad he just fucked up, right? Because they won the game. So they have him on the whole time it's being recorded, and the guy just picks up the gun and shoots the guy in the head because they were done and got what they needed. Okay, and you're like, man, that's so fucked up. Like, oh my God, that shit really fucking happens over there.
Yeah,
like
all the time.
Your brain is just alarmed with every possibility.
Espionage
right?
is a nasty world, man.
Hold on, dude. Hold on, because it was the last fucking 5 minutes of the movie. The chick walks out, and the guys, they all walk out and they clean up, and they go up the stairs, and they open this door, and it's just this massive room full of cameras and people in jeans and a t-shirt and stuff like that, and they've been surveilling them the entire time, a torture scene, and they get undressed and all the accents drop. The guy that got shot in the head came up the stairs, and they started talking to the lead guy, and he's wearing a pair of black pants and a white button-down shirt. And the chick went outside. So he goes outside to her, and he's like, and this fucking Statue of Liberty is in the background.
Wow, so the whole shit just happened right there in New York in a warehouse somewhere.
It was American, though. That torture scene was American. What they found out was that the guy was going to poison the global food supply.
Jesus. Well, like Monsanto hasn't already done that.
No doubt.
But that movie it just made you think, like, that was the mind fuck at the end of the movie, is that you thought these were terrorists on foreign soil, and they were actually American military agents that were fucking sabotaging and finding out information through the means of torture.
Yep. Well, I mean, it's documented that kind of stuff happens, man. I mean, isn't that what got Assange in hot water in the first place? Was the Iraq Diaries?
Yeah, the collateral damage, but that wasn't torture. That was just indiscriminate killing.
Well, that and Abu Ghraib. I mean, there was definitely torture at Abu Ghraib.
No, I'm not saying that there wasn't. That didn't take
was in
place.
the
I'm just
Iraq.
talking about it in context. It doesn't matter. Whatever. Look at me. Look at me.
Well, this is a mindfuck too. This thing that came. This is from Reuters. This came out December 23rd. You guys remember how basically Putin came out and just kind of dismissed the Democrats as sore losers. The media was grilling him, and they were like, "Hey, Putin, Trump says he's going to ramp up America's nuclear arsenal. Doesn't that bother you?" And he was like, nah. He was trying to win an election. Whatever. The Democrats are being a bunch of bitches. Like
That's the Russian response.
that kind of it is. It definitely is. That's Reuters report. Speaking, this is by Andrew Osborne and Vladimir Soldatkin, December 23rd from Reuters. Russia's Vladimir Putin said on Friday that he was unfazed by President-elect Donald Trump's plans to boost the U.S. nuclear arsenal, praising Trump for being in touch with U.S. public opinion, while branding the Democrats as sore election losers. Speaking at his annual news conference in Moscow, the Russian president said earlier comments that he had made about his country's own military modernization had been misunderstood in the U.S., and that he accepted that the U.S. military, not Russia's, was the most powerful in the world. Putin said that on Thursday, Russia's military was stronger than any potential aggressor. Trump later tweeted that the U.S. must greatly strengthen and expand its nuclear capability until such a time when the world comes to its senses regarding nukes. Asked to clarify his comments on Friday, MSNBC, mostly snotty nonsense by communists, reported that Trump had said some, let it be an arms race. We will outmatch them at every pass and outlast them all. But Putin said he did not regard the U.S. as a potential aggressor, and had only been talking about countries that he realistically thought might launch an attack on Russia. I was a bit, quoting Putin, I was a bit surprised by the statements that some representatives of the current U.S. administration, who for some reason started to prove that the U.S. military was the most powerful in the world, Putin said, referring to the State Department comments on Thursday. Nobody is arguing with that. Putin said that he saw nothing new or remarkable about Trump's statements wanting to expand nuke capabilities. Quoting Putin again, in the course of his election campaign, Trump, spoke about the necessity of strengthening the U.S. nuclear arsenal and strengthening the armed forces. There's nothing unusual there, said Putin. If anyone's unleashing an arms race, it's not us. We will never spend resources on an arms race that we can't afford. Again! Oh! Trump's comments made in a tweet alarmed non-proliferation experts who said that a boost to the U.S. arsenal could fuel global tensions. The Russian leader, speaking to a news conference that lasted just under 4 hours, fielded questions on everything from Syria to the economy, Ukraine, and sports doping. He only became really animated when talking about the U.S. launching a scathing attack on the Democrats. He said that they had forgotten the meaning of their own name and that they were sore losers. The current administration of the leadership of the Democratic Party are trying to blame all their failures on external factors, said Putin. We're talking about a party that has clearly forgotten the original meaning of its own name. The Democrat. Hang on, this is good. This is gold. Troll gold. Give me a sec. The Democrats, are losing on all fronts and looking elsewhere for things to blame. In my view, how shall I say it, degrades their own dignity. You have to know how to lose with dignity. The Obama administration and U.S. Intelligence officials have accused Russia of trying to interfere with the election by hacking DNC accounts. Information from those hacks was leaked online, causing political problems for Democrat candidate Hillary Clinton. Putin dismissed suggestions that Moscow had helped Trump in any way, however. It's not like that, he said. All of the accusations speaks of the current administration's systemic problems. Putin, who spoke positively of Trump before his election win, said only that Moscow has believed in his victory, however. Trump understood the mood of the people and kept going until the end when nobody believed in him, Putin said, except for you and me, with a wink and a smile. Putin said he would be willing to visit the U.S. if Trump invited him and expected U.S.-Russia ties to return to normal, particularly in security and economic spheres. He was, and probably on sharing the Stargate, too. He was more cagey when it came to his own political future, though, saying he needed time before deciding whether he would run for president again in 2018. Most Kremlin watchers believe he will stand and win again. No surprise there. I will look at what's going on in the country, said Putin, coyly, with a boyish grin, calling a reporter who asked him to who'd asked him to provide reasons why people would want to vote for him again, a provocateur. Well, that's great. Putin. Everybody loves Putin.
You gotta love Putin.
You know what?
Tyrannical madman.
All you conservatives out there who have this
He's
Putin
not-
fetish now, let me tell you, Barry Goldwater would slap the shit out of you people for idolizing an authoritarian goon.
Trump is like Putin light. You know what I mean? Trump is like, he pretends to say it like it is. Putin just says it like it is. You don't get fucked.
Well, Putin says like it is, but it's so nuanced. Like, Putin's a guy where, like, everything he says, you can, like, there's a almost a psychedelic spiral of connotations that you can read out of one line of shit that Putin says. Like, he means that about that. Oh, fuck, he means that about that. Man, he's not kidding about that. He means that.
Yeah, no doubt. Did you ever see the Putin Thug Life video?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, that's what I'm saying.
You guys
like,
out there look that up, the Putin Thug Life video.
You know-
It's just a sneak too, man.
Whether
You
it's
don't
a-
even know it's a Thug
well,
Life
whether
video.
whether you're a hapless schmuck like Obama, or whether you're a self-aggrandized idiot like Trump, fucking Putin is a master statesman, and they would be well advised to watch out for this guy because he's straight KGB.
No, don't
Nice
take
people,
this-
nice people do not rise to power in the KGB quickly.
don't
let me tell you.
take this as a political endorsement of Russia, as some of our friends
Oh, it is not.
would like.
I think
to-
anybody who
to
listens
do
to our
that.
show knows that we are no fans of authoritarianism or fascism or totalitarianism here at Reality Brief.
Yeah.
The whole purpose for us doing this show is to bring to light, for you, the listener, knowledge about how the tendrils of authoritarianism are, basically devouring the rotting remains of our republic from out from under us, and all of your freedoms that were once, originally enshrined in documents as founding documents of the entire country are being, don't tread on me. Shit, you being tread on every day, fam. What you gonna do? What you gonna do? That's why we do this show, so you can know how you're being tread on.
Oh my!
And
With
make fun
Nazi
of it.
space boots.
And make fun of it.
With Nazi space boots.
Yes, it is being tread upon by Nazi space boots.
So, that being said, Putin, he may not be the greatest guy in the world, but there's absolutely no reason why we need to, be enemies with Russia. There really isn't. I mean, well, he's a bad guy. He's a dictator. Well, we essentially live in a dictatorship. So, what the fuck, man?
It's been a dictatorship since 1913, at least.
You know what I mean? It's CNN calling something fake news, essentially. I mean,
Yo, dog,
Really?
I heard you like fake news.
so we both
we
live.
talked about
so
fake news on
so
your
we
fake news.
we basically all live under a boot. There's no reason to blow each other up over it. You know what I mean? Like, it's like with the hacking. Even if they did do some hacking to the DNC, that shit goes on every day, man. Every country, everywhere, man.
Well, we have talked about on the show plenty of times. In fact, I think it was the last show we did. We were talking about how the hacks came out of the Pentagon. They came from D.C.
Yeah. See, they're not talking about those now. They keep going back to the DNC emails.
Yeah.
Right? And it's funny because what do we learn in the DNC emails?
And the mainstream media is completely mum about Epstein Island.
But think about it, though. What did we learn in the DNC emails? We learned that the Democratic National Committee and the Hillary Clinton campaign colluded to steal the election from Bernie Sanders,
Yeah.
among other things. So, essentially, we learned about election fraud through this. So, even if you take what they say to be true, Russia hacked the election, and
But did Bernie really
by
get cheated if he was
telling
complicit?
by exposing voter fraud, like they changed the results of the election by exposing voter fraud.
It didn't change anything.
It didn't. It didn't change a damn thing.
Well, and that's the thing.
Look,
like,
people.
did
Trump got elected because listen.
Did Bernie
there-
really get cheated if he was complicit?
No, he didn't. You're right. You're absolutely right about that. But the thing about voter fraud, like I've said before, it exists. It's rampant, right? But it's not like they've got a little switch that they could just flip on and the entire presidential election is rigged. It doesn't work like that.
No, it's a war of 1,000 slashes.
So with the case of Trump, people were literally so fed up with that bullshit coming from Hillary Clinton and everything that she was wrapped up in and the DNC leaks and all that it was like Donald Trump probably won in a damn landslide because he beat her like that through all of the voter fraud that they've uncovered, but hush hush because it shows that the DNC cheated, not Trump. It doesn't play with their narrative. So shh, shh, shh. Let's just release a little drip drab of that over here, AP in the corner. Don't read it, though, and don't talk about it. You remember the recount? That's what they found.
yeah, they found
Voter fraud on the Democrat side. But they're not going to tell you about that because it doesn't play with their narrative. Now, like I said, Donald Trump must have won in a damn landslide to cut through all of that. Because, look, it's heavy. They've had their machine in place for a long time.
Yeah, that they have.
So, damn.
And it's
Hats
been-
off to
it's-
Trump for that. I mean, that just shows how pissed off people are at the system. So, they have at least, even though Donald Trump is not anti-establishment, he puts out that persona that he is So at least people are trying to break away from the system, even though he's not really
Yeah,
that.
At
At least they're trying to go for that. And you see the same thing with Bernie Sanders. He's talking the good talk, right? So people are fucking jumping on him like crazy because what do you got on the other side? Same old.
If Trump puts Andrew Napolitano on the Supreme Court, I am gonna shit.
You're right.
There's talk of it. There's serious talk of it. Just saying, there's serious talk of it, and I think that would be seriously cool. One thing before we hit this break coming up that I thought, well, we talk about 9/11 a lot too, and how here we are in 2017, the government's still lying to us about it. But I think this deserves a mention. The Observer reports December 23rd. Why are senators protecting the Saudis and denying justice to 9/11 victims? A bill to fix the Justice Against Sponsors of Terrorism Act will make it harder for 9/11 survivors to get their day in court. In the aftermath of the worst terror attack in American history, let's see, who wrote this? By Bernard B. Carrick. In the aftermath of the worst terror attack in American history, I had to walk into the auditorium of New York City's police headquarters to brief the family members of 23 New York City police officers who'd gone missing. We would later learn that their courage and heroism cost them their lives, but they weren't the only heroes who died on September 11th, 2001. We also lost 343 New York City firefighters and 37 New Jersey Port Authority police officers that day, as well as close to 2,000 other innocent civilians, flight crews, and military personnel. Overseeing the NYPD's response, rescue, recovery, and investigation gave me not only a bird's eye view of the death and distraction that would haunt many New Yorkers for an eternity, but it also gave me the opportunity to greet many family members struggling with profound and ongoing grief. The horror and memories that dark day has diminished for many Americans. We've witnessed political leaders play partisan politics with legislation intended to support our first responders with health problems related to 9/11. I found that appalling, but once again, some members in Congress are acting in spineless and shameless ways. Let's see. What are we getting to? Let's see. There's this new bill. Last year, Senator John Cornyn, Republican from Texas, and Charles Schumer, New York, introduced the Justice Against Sponsors of Terrorism Act, JASTA, allowing family members of victims to file lawsuits against anyone they believed were conspirators in the 9/11 attack. 3 months ago, the bill passed with large bipartisan minorities in both House and Congress, but President Barack Obama vetoed the bill.
Hey, let's also add that was his first and only veto.
Yeah, good point. While Congress voted to override Obama's veto, it was the first time legislators have done so during his presidency.
Because he hadn't vetoed anything.
Exactly, because he's a spineless jellyfish. The New York Times editorial board supported President Obama's veto, arguing on September 28, 2016, that JASTA could expose the American government, citizens, and corporations to lawsuits abroad. The events of 9/11 were a massive act of terror. It is wrong to claim that because Americans might be sued abroad, we should not use the courts to learn who conspired to commit the deadliest attack in our lifetimes. And see, to me, Don, remember, this is why the whole 9/11 truth thing got started with families who wanted a goddamn explanation and deserved better than having to fucking chase shadows around every corner at all turns. And let's see, since the override, Senator Lindsey Graham and John McCain, the Wonder Twins, have introduced a bill to fix JASTA, creating legal standards that will delay justice and make it harder for 9/11 survivors to get their day in court. JASTA has the overwhelming support of Congress and Donald Trump during the presidential election. A review of Graham and McCain's proposed law raises serious questions, not only about the specific changes, but also the two senators' motives. The so-called fix satisfies the changes to the law demanded by an army of lobbyists hired by the Saudis, where most of the 9/11 hijackers come from. And if you guys want to read more about this, go to observer.com and look up Saudi Arabia 9/11 bill justice victims. But basically, they're trying to make it so this 9/11 victims can't sue the Saudis. Why is our government shielding their cronies in Saudi Arabia? Wouldn't you love to know?
No, it's what you just read is basically it said that that victims can't. That the JASTA Act would basically implicate the United States government.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
that's why.
because Saudi Arabia would end up in court, and what would come out in court would be severely damaging to the United States government.
This article closes, in the interest of justice and our national security, it's imperative that Congress protects the victims of 9/11. Their families come first, not the interests of the Saudis or their allies in Congress. You're goddamn right, Bernie Carrick.
All right, so look. It's top of the hour. We're going to have to go to break. When we get back, we're going to continue on in our top happenings.
there be a happening a brewing.
We're going to open up the phone lines for you guys to call in and tell us a little something about your happenings.
757-525-3276. Get ready to call in and lay it on us here on Reality Brief.
Also, we're going to have some of the top UFO sightings. Ooh, at least in Texas anyway, because we're slack. So, we will see you on
Win
the
a
other
chance for a
side.
free anal probing.
What's up, Internet? This is George of the Chocolate Milk and Waffle Show.
And I'm Terrell K. Mercer, also the Chocolate Milk and Waffle Show.
And we would like to invite you to tune in every Thursday from 8 to 9 on Radio F Radio.
.com.
Hey, it's Justin from Deprogram. Do you like to talk about your favorite bands with your friends? Yeah, well, me too. Tune in every Tuesday night at 10 p.m. to hear us do just that. Only on our station, Radio Free Radio, RadioFradio.com.
Hey, this is Corey O'Neill.
This is James Clark.
Tune into the FSB show here on our station, RadioFradio.com, every Thursday at 10 o'clock p.m. Eastern to midnight. 2 full hours where we bring you politically incorrect sports talk, outside-the-box, thought-provoking stuff. You can call in here at the station, 757-848-5920. Give us a call, debate us, whatever's on your mind, let us know. We'll go back and forth. Give us a call. Head over to patreon.com/Radio Free Radio. $1 a month gets you everything. Don't miss what we've got going on at our station, RadioFradio.com. Boom.
Do you ever feel like there's something wrong in the world around you? Do you feel like you're being lied to? Do you think you know more than the people in charge? Join us as we answer these questions and many more. Wednesday nights, 9 p.m. on RadioFradio.com.
Hey guys, Matt and Justin here. Do you like things that are funny? Do you like music? Do you like talk? Well, we've got it all on Good Morning You Drunks.
How do you feel about double middle fingers?
I don't like them, but I will accept them.
Oh, Monday nights, 8 p.m. Good Morning You Drunks, only on our station, Radio Free Radio, RadioFradio.com.
We promise we're not going to give you double middle fingers.
RadioFreeRadio.com. Did you know that Radio Free Radio has over 100 videos on their YouTube channel? It's true. Check it out. Go to YouTube and type Radio Free Radio, all one word, into the search bar and click subscribe.
Hey Justin, I was just thinking that there's no better way to advertise that hashtag WrestlePals is moving to 10 p.m. every Monday on Radio Free Radio, RadioFradio.com, than to cut our own wrestling style promo. Do it.
Monday nights at 10 p.m. Hashtag WrestlePals take the airwaves. And they're going to talk wrestling with you. If you want to call in, you can call 757-848-5920. Can you feel that? Feel the WrestlePals power coursing through your graves! Ah!
I think you just had an aneurysm. That's hashtag WrestlePals every Monday, 10 p.m. Radio Free Radio, RadioFradio.com.
Hey guys, this is Ron from Ron to the Hills, and we want to hear from you. Give us a call at 757-848-5920. Shoot us an email at ronhillsshow@gmail.com. Like us on Facebook /Ron to the Hills. And now you can Skype us at Ronnie.Hills too. Come on, join the Hill people today.
RadioFradio.com.
RadioFradio.com. I'm not a bit surprised that the Federal Reserve got to the Senate. I had expected Bernie Sanders to offer 604, which was the same as 1207, which is the Audit the Fed bill. And at the last minute, he switched it and watered it down, and really it adds nothing. It's a possibility that it even makes the current conditions worse. This is essentially the bill plus more of the bill we beat in the House Financial Committee, the Mel Watts bill. So, but this is so disappointing to me that this happened, especially since for months now I've worked with Bernie on this, and he introduced the bill in our language, which was 1207. But as we speak, this is Thursday night, they are working on this on the Senate floor, and we need to get as many messages as possible to any senator you can think of, especially to Bernie Sanders' office, that we don't want this version. We want a true audit of the Fed. We need to know what the Open Market Committee does, and we need to know what they're doing overseas with the agreements with central banks and financial institutions and other governments. And in this bill that is being offered, that amendment that is being offered now does not include this. So I am sure that Senator DeMint is working on this and may come up with an alternative. But the only thing that would be fair to the American people, after all this work and energy that we've put into this, is have an up and down vote on what was our 1207 in the House, which is 604 in the Senate. Yes, they may water it down and they may win it, but if they don't have an honest vote on a Senate floor, to me it would be very, very discouraging. But it also shows what kind of forces we're up against. The president doesn't want this. The leadership on Wall Street doesn't want it. The Federal Reserve doesn't want it. So they're powerful forces. But just think of the people that do want it. You know, everybody from progressives and liberal Democrats to libertarians and constitutionalists and the average person, so many of the Tea Party members, they all want this. They want transparency, and they want to find out what's going on at the Fed. So it's very, very important. It's a crucial time. And whether, I doubt if they'll vote tonight, which is Thursday, but they may vote tomorrow. Who knows? They may vote Monday. But it's vital and urgent that we do as much as we can to bombard the Senate with information that we, the people, deserve to have an up and down vote on Audit the Fed bill.
Hey guys, we're back. You know what that means. Time to get free, yeah, America.
Time to get abducted by UFOs.
You guys want to get in on the convo, you can check it out right down there at 757-525-3276. That's 757-525-3276. You know, call in with your musings, call in to insult us, call in to whatever. Or don't. Whatever.
You can do whatever you want.
So,
we're very permissive.
We had the Ron Paul speech there about Bernie flipping on Audit the Fed. You know, we ain't heard that in a while. I thought I might bring that up again tonight. So, because Audit the Fed's coming back, guys. They're trying to do it again. So, you know me. I'm the hell with Audit the Fed and the Fed. We know what they're doing.
Yeah, serious. Well, Audit the Fed's a step at least, because you gotta show the American. You gotta show the American people what's good first.
I understand the process behind that, but you know, cut to the chase already and just end the damn thing. Let's get back to solid monetary policy so we can start to fix things. Anyway,
for a change.
Before I turn into Alex Jones and start screaming.
Yeah,
they're making the frogs gay. They're putting it in and making it gay.
The gay juice box frogs.
They got the gay bomb and they're bombing the frogs and making them gay. I don't want to live in that America.
Fire goddamn water filter.
Super male vitality, yeah. Anyway. We do, as promised, have the top 10 UFO sightings last year. You know, this is by no means a comprehensive list. And you know what? This isn't even last year. But we're going to talk.
The top 10 UFO
Who cares?
sightings
You know
sometime.
What? Here on Reality Brief, our top 10 moments of 2016 are from 2013.
Top 10 times we think we saw a UFO one time, but we were stoned, so we don't know.
I'm sure we could do a quick Google search and find that shit.
So anyway, February 2016. All right. Residents of Killeen, Texas were taken by surprise when they spotted 4 strange lights in open daylight flying in the sky. The objects seemed like spinning in the sky while they remained stationary up there. The UFO lights faded one by one after showing up for a couple minutes or so. Now, it's pretty interesting. Of course, you know, we know what Phantom Spy would say. Him being the sanest out of the bunch. CGI. But we'll see it for ourselves again. Now, there you go. You got your dots. Can you see that over there? I know it's kind of small.
Yeah,
Sorry.
that's going out.
You got your dots, right? And they're
video?
kind of hovering there. It looks kind of similar to what we saw in Turkey, actually.
Yeah, it's that same kind of squad.
Yeah, this kind of pops up frequently.
The lines of UFOs like that.
Yeah, just almost exactly like that. It's been popping up. But this is in Killeen, Texas. All right, so also we got, one that I would like to talk about is remember when in England they were doing those I think it was the police. They were doing some kind of helicopter thing, and they were shooting with this thermal camera. And remember that ball?
Yeah.
That was insane. Now, I don't have the video for you guys, but you can find it in the archives. You can look it up on the internet, whatever. So essentially, they're doing this random shooting, and they find this ball of intense heat, like, flying around out there, like, over England. And you couldn't see it. And it only popped up on this thermal image. And you can see here in the video. Oh, I dropped the ball on you guys. Sorry. But he puts his finger in front of the lights to kind of demonstrate that it's not anything on the lens. And then he pans away. Anyway, this ball, talking about two things at once, is awesome here on Reality Brief. So this ball of intense heat, flying around. Now, like we talked about before, it's speculated that any type of stealth technology that could hide itself like that would generate intense heat. And, being these plasma-driven things, it's like a plasma shell, essentially. I thought that was a pretty good one. Then you also have what happened with SpaceX. I know you remember that. Remember when the rocket blew up?
Yeah, so close.
And the anomalous video with that. Clearly looks like to me something flying by right as soon as it blows up.
I still think the SpaceX thing was just straight up industrial sabotage.
That is very possible because we know that we have that
I don't
type
think
of
it was
technology.
like aliens or anything.
No, I don't think it would have been aliens. No doubt it was definitely
If anything, some
human.
of them want to see us come up.
It was definitely human. Or, who knows? I think, personally, that it wasn't a Facebook satellite that was on that rocket. It was some kind of covert ops thing, and somebody decided to take it out, whether it had been from the secret space program. Maybe it was something that was jeopardizing.
The Russians hacked our rocket.
It was jeopardizing operational security. But, you guys can go check that one out. That's the SpaceX rocket explosion. Actually, if you hop over to the Reality Brief YouTube channel, we've got a nice little 3 or 4 minute piece on that, breaking down and slowing down and pointing everything out for you guys.
I wonder if it, not to like stoke international tensions, but I wondered if it'd been the Chinese, because there'd been some stuff that China's done recently, like rocket launches. There have been submarines that came up on the coast of California and then launched a missile, but launched it back out into the Pacific just to show, hey, you know what, if we wanted, we could just pop our subs out of the water right off the coast of San Diego and nuke motherfuckers. So it was just kind of like a way of China dropping its balls on the table.
I don't think so, man. I really don't. All right, well, we got this one from...
I think that's part of Putin's strategy, too, by the way.
This is wild here. This is Star Trek-esque, almost. I mean, like, it's wild. I remember when it came out. I'm not sure if we actually had this one on the show or not, but maybe we briefly talked about it. So, unlike the regular bright lights or hazy orbs, the UFO that was seen in the skies of El Paso, Texas, was cubical in shape. A massive cube dimensional UFO which seemed to emerge out of a huge black portal that opened in the sky. The object floated at a height of about 300 feet before it headed back into the clouds, never to be seen again. And we'll hook you up with that one, too. I mean, it's pretty interesting. This is probably someone's breakdown of it. Yo, boy, secure team.
Oh, those guys.
Oh, this is probably why we didn't cover it.
Yep. Secure team usually seems like bullshit.
Well, it's hard to tell with them, man. It really is sometimes. So, here's a still of it. You can see angular shake, dark clouds around it. I mean, It's interesting, man. It really is. The
From
video.
this time
Hopefully,
forth,
they've got
you will
the
service
actual video of it.
us.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
Because the video was nuts, man.
Lower your shields and
Yeah, so
surrender
you can
your
see it
ships.
again.
Your culture will adapt to 7 hours.
It
I
looks like
mean,
a supply cargo.
Like
They're dropping a supply
It's
cargo.
a Vogon.
That-
It's
yeah.
a Vogon constructor fleet.
I mean, it's
That's unnerving.
They're demolishing
no,
Earth. They're
it
demolishing
very-
Earth to make room for a space highway.
Oh
I
my
mean,
God.
I guess it's possible.
Wait, was
that
that a TARDIS?
look? It was,
No, it's a Hellraiser cube, dog.
I mean, that's a good theory. A cargo or something. But
Yeah, it could be.
I don't-
That would be
you
the
know,
logical shape for a cargo ship.
I didn't hear anything
That's
about
ridiculous
anything
and
impacting the
terrifying.
ground though. And the video that I saw, it just went, it like came out of the black and it just went.
The
behind
plans
cloud.
have been on
was-
display
it was
at
pretty
Alpha
crazy.
Centauri for over 1,000 years. It's not our fault if you couldn't stop by to consult them.
Oh boys.
I saw some footage. I occasionally visit INFD in 5D. There you go. And there was a video on there of it was basically like a space satellite kind of picture in the dark of the outer sphere of the Earth, and it was all space and stuff. But you could certainly see the curve of the Earth, right? And
Oh, the Earth
it
is flat.
shows.
There's water on top. There's water on top. You know what's? I'm sorry not to detract from what
No,
you're
it's-
saying,
it's
but
interesting.
The flat Earth thing, like I watched that.
That's a
rip-
CIA psyop.
Dude,
Come the fuck on.
I
It's
watched that
2017.
shit.
There are people who live in space.
I watched that shit literally tear apart the 9/11 truth community, man. Because, look, let's face it, man. Not everybody is a great thinker. You know what I mean? Like, now the 9/11 truth stuff. There's some serious stuff there, man. And when that movement first arose, it was like you were prided on how well researched you were and how sourced and how you don't bring to the table any bullshit. You know what I mean? Like, this is it right here. Look, see, vetting happened, and people have been saying Earth's flat for a long time. It's nothing new, but in this particular instance, it seemed to have been inserted into the 9/11 truth community to divide it up. Because what happened was, some of the people that kind of just go along with anything just hopped right on it. You know what I mean? They're already thinking that 9/11 was a false flag. Why not think the Earth is flat too? You know what I mean? Like, and it literally ripped apart. It's to where it's now like if you go into any type of 9/11 truth message board, forum, Facebook group,
Honestly, I just
whatever.
block flat earthers on site. I'm not even gonna fuck with you. Like when I see those people on the internet, block. Fuck them. I
Now-
want nothing to do with that.
Now, with that whole flat Earth thing, there are some interesting points that they bring up, but it doesn't lead me to believe that the Earth is flat. It only reinforces other ideas that I have.
Well, you could do Aristophanes' experiment. Like, seriously. Like, I could be here in Virginia on March 15th of one year and put a 6-inch stick, put a stick in the ground that pokes 6 inches out of the ground, measure the shadow, and then go to visit my family in New York next March 15th. Do the same thing. Subtract the difference in the angle of the shadow and calculate within a few kilometers the approximate circumference of the Earth.
Now,
And if that's-
alternatively,
You could tie a GoPro to a balloon, too.
exactly, exactly. If you really think the Earth is flat, please, and don't give me the wide-angle fisheye lens bullshit. Get a regular lens and send that shit up in the orbit. Well, not orbit, in the high atmosphere. You will see it. Well, why don't you see it when you're in a plane? Well, you're not high enough. I mean, the Earth is huge, but there's no point. I'm not even gonna go in to try and debate or debunk
there's-
flat Earth.
there's
I mean,
no
come
point.
on, guys, figure it out, please.
Yeah, get real.
I mean, you're talking the guys who are proposing the Nazi spaceship people controlling the world are telling you the Earth is not flat. You know what I mean? Like,
I mean it. Hey, metrics count. Good metrics count for a lot.
oh man. So,
I was telling you about a spaceship.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean that.
Yeah. Spaceship.
what happened is it shows this camera and like the curve of the Earth, right? And then there's this huge ball of light, and it's moving very, very fast, straight like this, right? So all of a sudden, from the surface of the Earth, another light shot up like a missile. Okay, like it was coming together like this. All of a sudden, the ball stops and goes backwards just as fast as it was going forward, just like that. And the missile just goes right past it and misses it.
Whoa.
Oh, yeah, I've seen that. I know exactly what you're talking about.
That kind of gave me chills a little bit when I saw it.
And then it flew away.
Yeah, it was like, whoosh, whoosh, like
now,
fast
did you see the one where they're
but
launching?
But it responded to a military attack.
Yeah. No, I know exactly what you're talking about. Did you see the one where it launched? It came up to a missile that was flying and shot a beam at it, and then the missile fell out of the sky.
Oh my God!
No. Oh yeah, the Navy's supposed to have badass new beam weapons that they have like mounted on ships and stuff, like beams that you can't. And you know, in Star Trek, you always see these big, pretty orange and green lasers shooting around. In real life, directed energy weapons, you don't see that shit until it hits whatever it's gonna hit, and it catches on fire and goes kaboom.
Speaking
you
of
might be able to see it in another spectrum, but in visible light, you don't see shit.
Speaking of directed energy weapons and UFOs and shooting them, how about that red beam that came out of Australia that got caught on that camera, that space camera?
Oh yeah.
So this red beam, we talked about this before. This is definitely a top 10 moment for me. This red beam comes off of the Earth. It looks like a laser beam, right?
Yeah.
And you don't see nothing in the video there, right? But then it hits something right outside in the moon, and it takes a circular shape. But whatever is there, you cannot see it until that light, that beam, whatever it is, hits it, and it glows up. And this came off of NASA footage.
I think that might have been a Starshot demo. Like, I can actually think of a legitimate explanation for that. Yeah, Stephen Hawking was talking about building those mini probes and then hitting them with laser beams to accelerate them up to light speed and send them zinging off towards Alpha Centauri, and then in 20 years we get Pixel Alpha Centauri.
You know, it
could have been a test of that.
It's a good theory you got there, but my problem with that is it fucking hit something and it was invisible until it hit it.
Well, I mean, it makes sense. That kind of makes sense. They're very tiny things.
No. Dan, remember the video, all right? Whatever it hit was not tiny.
Oh, yeah, okay.
It was huge.
Yeah.
And it was invisible.
Yes.
So
it disrupted their cloak or something.
Like, I don't know. I mean, it was incredible. And then they did come out with an official explanation for it, but I can't remember what it was. But of course, it was total horseshit. Yeah, it was swamp gas, fucking ball lightning.
It was some mud gas.
Mud gas in space.
Swamp gas.
It was space gas, obviously.
Yeah, it was methane sublimated by sunlight from the surface of the moon.
Now that one in particular was, man, and I'm sorry, guys, we're ill prepared this week. We're not at the secret undisclosed location where all of our top secret files are kept at.
No,
so we can't just pull it up and show you. I would love to. You're going to have to do your own due diligence on this one and just look it up.
One of my projects got loose, and we had it's all my fault, really. We were had a biocontamination incident, something we were working on. It got out, and I can't, The moral of the story is clean your fridge.
Now, on the disclosure side, let's break away a little bit from the UFO sightings and talk about, the top moments in disclosure this year. For me, definitely
the pedestal emails.
No, not that kind of disclosure.
The
hashtag disclosure.
Gotcha.
Where was I talking? What was I thinking about there?
The top 10 disclosure.
Yeah,
disclosure
no. I don't know about 10. There probably wasn't. Well, there probably was, but we're not gonna be able to pull them out of the air like that. For me, one of the biggest moments in disclosure for me this year, which kind of was one of them moments, was the research that came out about the age regression.
Yeah.
And that was, 2 weeks ago?
That stuff kind of blew. Oh, yeah, how they can regress the age of an organism.
Yeah, how they were making mice younger and shit.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason why this is so big is because in the secret space program narrative, where these people who claim to have been part of the secret space program, now it sounds completely ridiculous and it's out there, but what they're saying is they're taken at a young age, or in the case of Marines, they're taken like 18, 20. They serve a 20-year period in the secret space program, or essentially Without going in too deep, it's different levels of it. It's compartmentalized, and they all think they're at the top. So they serve in some sort of branch of that for 20 years, but then they claim to have been age regressed.
What they call it, Darkfleet?
Well, Darkfleet is just one faction. Darkfleet is supposedly the reptilian Nazi collaboration.
Damn.
Which, coming up on the 18th, we have someone coming on the show who claims to have served in a Darkfleet ship. We'll get to that later, but
exciting stuff, folks. Only
so they claim to have been age regressed and then time traveled back to shortly after they were abducted or taken. Now, most of these people that are claiming this are MILABs, which is military abductions. Which the disturbing trend with that is you have an alien experience, and then you are abducted by the military. So whether the alien experience is actually just a program front for the military abduction, who knows? Will we ever know? If we get full disclosure, we will. But I don't bet on that.
No, never count on full disclosure.
So they released a scientific basis for age regression. And to me, that was just like, whoa. That just led so much more credibility to the story. Because that, for me, the whole SSP thing, that was my biggest hurdle. You're telling me you grow until you're 28, and then you get age regress back to your 8, and then you travel through time and go back where they took you from? Like, that just opens up. Huh?
It's an awful lot of back and forth, but I guess.
Why would anyone want to be 8 again, though? Like,
well, it's part of
you got to choose your age. Like, I'd love to be 24
It's part
again.
of the service contract because
if I could
no one's supposed to know about it.
If I could get age
so
regressed to
they
10,
you don't come back to being 8 years old having all your memories of the program.
See, yeah.
The people that are coming out with this stuff have been through
like mind wipes and shit.
Yeah, so they're getting these memories back through regression.
That's terrifying.
And other things
yeah,
like that.
they have major psychological blocks that they have to make through.
They get you when you're a kid, and they're like, they get you to agree to it.
Things
right?
that if you uncover shit, like if you uncover something in your own mind, it sets off a suicide trigger and you try and kill yourself.
Yeah. Now, there's been
claims
go
into a
of that,
homicidal frenzy or something.
There's this one woman, Penny, that I've been talking to that is also. So I've managed to get into a group that has a bunch of people that it's like a support group,
like a
almost,
survivors group,
that are like, talking about this kind of stuff. And in my personal conversations with her, she got hers. Man, where was I, dude? I completely forgot what I was
talking
talking
about age regression, and
I know that. I know we're talking about
you don't get age
regression.
regressed with all your memory,
right?
You mentioned Penny.
Yeah, and now see, look, it's brainwaves. They're coming in from outer space.
Yeah, they're fucking with the show. They're listening. They're fucking with the show right now. But yeah, if I could get age regressed to 10 and just know everything, like there was an episode of Stargate where there was like a clone of Jack O'Neill that accidentally came into being, and he somehow got age regressed like back to 10 years old, and he had to go back through high school knowing everything that Jack O'Neill knew, like but in the body of a 10-year-old kid. And he had to go back through school. And just, I'm thinking about how cool that would be if I could start over at 10 years old, knowing everything I know now. Oh, the havoc I would wreak.
I think we could all write a best-selling novel on If I Knew Then What I Know Now, you know?
Yeah, and got a chance to do it all over again. Had that Chrono Trigger moment where you could go back and change one thing that would change everything.
So, yeah, that was my... one of the biggest ones that I could think of right off the top of my head. How about you?
The biggest story that I saw this year?
Disclosure related.
Well, honestly...
I mean, the EM drive, dude.
Yeah, the EM drive is pretty cool. Like, that's a big deal. That, the Starshot stuff, to me, the big stuff was the Podesta leaks. But I've learned a lot this year about all this stuff, like the Nazi bases in Antarctica, uncovering all that. That's a big deal.
Yeah, but that hasn't really... I'm talking about, like, admittances of things. Like, because we know, especially if you factor in, say, they had crashed alien technology.
France declassifying
in the
all their
2030s
UFO.
and 40s.
I think France and Russia. And
the FBI did, too, actually.
Yeah, China disclosed a whole lot of stuff. There was a big disclosure from China.
So, I mean, if you think about it from the perspective that, essentially, they're about 40 to 50 years ahead of us scientifically, in technology. When I say they, I mean the Deep Black programs or the Secret Space program, whatever you want to call it, the compartmentalized intelligence system that we're not allowed to know about.
I think they're exponentially more advanced than
Yeah.
what us proles are allowed to
I mean,
get a
because
hold of.
when the NSA, in the 60s, they had their computing power was that of a laptop from 2000. So that's an admission. That's a disclosure.
Yeah.
It's official. So just basing it on that.
Anything we know about, we've talked about. That's a big thing we've talked about on the show this year. Is how anything that us proles know about is
old news.
DARPA's had for 70, 80 years.
So if we're just now
All
finding
these thumb drives
out about fuelless
webcams and fuel
EM
cells.
drive creating thrust from nothing, essentially defying thermodynamics, they've had it. You know what I mean? It's been around. If we're just now finding out about age regression, they've had it.
We're just
you know
now
what I mean?
finding out about super advanced robotics and nanotechnology. They've had it.
Also, Lauren, what else do we have this year?
Well, we've had a lot of really
all the emissions about Mars.
Yeah. All this due to like the German base on Mars.
No, like the water and stuff.
Oh yeah, the discoveries of all water and nitrogen
and
salts
all
in the
the
craters.
all the discoveries of water on
content of the rock.
Vast oceans on moons throughout the solar system.
Yeah, Titan, Ganymede. We've discovered new particles this year. We've gotten into just recently. There was an article from. We were talking about directed energy weapons a minute ago. There was this article that really from Inverse, talking about by Neil Patel. How Earth can beat invading aliens, how humans might defend Earth from hostile aliens. You got to think big, real big. And they talk about, let's see. Oh, bastards. They talk about planetary defense, tracking, let's see. Here you go. They say, believe it or not, planetary defense is a real part of space research and exploration, albeit in terms of protecting the planet against natural threats like asteroids, comets, surprise solar flares, etc. For NASA and other space agencies around the world and private companies, planetary defense is basically limited to a discussion of asteroid impact, avoidance, and deflection, the development of technologies that allow us to track near-Earth objects that might pose a threat, should their travel path ever line up with ours. To that end, NASA's been bolstering its efforts to improve instruments designed to track such rocks zipping through the solar system, most noticeably through the recent opening of the Planetary Defense Coordination Office to better study and characterize different near-Earth asteroids and comets and predict their orbits around the Sun in relation to Earth. Now, how many of you guys heard about that in the news, the fact that there's a Planetary Defense Coordination Office? See, that's how I think disclosure is going to come out. Just to
dribs
dribble
and drabs.
Yeah, exactly.
And you have to put it all together yourself.
Well, you just said that if we're just finding out about it, they've known about it for 50 or 60
Right.
years. So what are they defending against, and how long has that been in play?
And they just said, they say mostly natural shit, but who knows?
Speaking of, I read earlier today, can't remember the source off the top of my head. You guys are going to have to look it up yourself. They detected several fast-moving objects coming to Earth from far away.
Well, how many of you guys have heard about the Hypervelocity Asteroid Intercept Vehicle, or the HAIV? It's a seemingly conventional spacecraft carrying a nuke, capable of blowing up an object from the inside out. It's two components, a kinetic impactor that bores a hole into an object and creates a hollow path for it, and then it, basically facehugger style injects a nuke down into that puppy and blows it off course.
Now, I wonder if that's got to do with the technology from the microborer.
Well, check it out. The guy who invented this, aeronautics engineer Bong Wee of Iowa State University, conceived of the HAIV. That guy's got the coolest name ever. Bong Wee.
I mean, because we also did...
He's a game show host.
We were doing that research...
fucking genius.
A couple months ago that led us to the underground rail system.
Oh yeah, and the DUMS, the deep underground military bases,
and
the boring stuff
the boring
that
machines,
Elon
and then
Musk is working on.
That variation of the technology that they use to bore down into bunkers to place surveillance devices.
Yeah.
So that's probably most likely a variation of that same technology that
I'm sure
they've
is.
been using since the 50s to create an underground rail system.
And now they've figured out how to make it portable, shoot it out to an asteroid.
Well, yeah, they got them tiny, dude.
Well, check it out. This guy says this Bong Wee guy is also a director in the university's Asteroid Deflection Research Center. Says his projectile, which would be between 1,000 to 2,000 kilograms in mass and move at about 5 kilometers per second, contains enough kinetic energy to create a hole or crater about 10 meters deep and 20 meters wide in an oncoming asteroid. The nuclear device would go into the crater left behind by the spacecraft, and boom goes the dynamite. If we have at least a 5-year warning time, Wee says, mankind will be able to prep an HAIV mission. A nuclear explosion will then occur in space far outside the lunar distance. Less than 0.1% of resulting fragments would actually enter Earth's atmosphere. The reason we would need to design and build one of these from scratch after we know an asteroid is on its way because you can cater the whole thing to destroy the asteroid as optimally as possible. For an asteroid with a diameter of about 300 meters, the best kind of nuke would be about 1,000 kilograms. A larger meteor will need something bigger. Smaller rocks could be crushed with smaller bombs. And they basically talk about using repurposing MIRVs and shit. But what we've really got that caught my attention was they mentioned that Wee is loath to speculate on the potential of weaponization of this technology, but this is not a trait universal with space scientists. Igor Ashurbayeli is actively planning to repel an attack. The chairman of the Moscow-based international expert Society on Space Threat Defense, Ashurbayeli, told the audience at the 4th Manfred Lachs International Conference on Conflicts in Space and the Rule of Law that he is preparing a proposal for an armed, unmanned space platform dedicated to monitoring activity in space and on the Earth and capable of directly neutralizing both. His concept is called the Universal Robotic Battle Cosmic Platform, or URBOCOP. And there's a picture, if I could show you guys, it looks like a big space laser, a big reflector that catches sunlight and uses it to shoot shit out of orbit. So URBOCOP would be an autonomously run system free from human bias that could identify a variety of threats in advance and defend the planet from them. He lists solar flares, changes to Earth's magnetosphere, asteroids, comets, man-made debris, unforeseen effects of climate change, cosmic rays, biological threats from space, all as potential space threats. The situation reminds
biological threats
one
from
of Russian
space.
roulette. Yeah, viruses on meteors and shit. Only with huge rocks, huge pieces of metal, solar, and other surprises acting as bullets and putting all of humanity at fatal risk. So he thinks that URBOCOP could be worked to defend the Earth against intelligent extraterrestrials or even man-made threats here on the surface. Imagine two countries warring with each other and launching missiles back and forth. URBOCOP could easily strike those missiles and shut the weapons down before they even get into the air.
Now, you remember...
Do you want Skynet? This is how you get Skynet.
That's essentially... Look, man, you remember the... I don't know if it was proven or they used the glass or what, but I want to say it was the Troys or something, where they gathered their shields together.
Yeah.
Like a whole shitload of them.
The phalanx.
And shot the sun at the fucking mass of the invading ships.
Yeah, the Greeks would do that. The Trojans. When
so
the
essentially,
Athenians were invading, they'd focus their mirrored shields on their sails and masts and shit and catch them on fire.
It's just that on a cosmic scale. It's a giant freaking magnifying glass floating in space, essentially.
It's going to look like one of those, one of those Ori ships.
Yeah.
That'll be fun.
Here's a good one, and I don't know how we missed this. Okay, deep vacuum.
Yeah.
Electromagnetic force.
Mm-hmm.
You know where I'm going with this?
Deep Casimir effect?
The disclosure of the basis for replication technology.
Oh, shit.
Something out of nothing. Remember that?
Yeah, well, that's the whole idea of, of the matter replicators from Star Trek, was that you create a vacuum, you boil the vacuum in an electromagnetic field, particles pop out of the vacuum, virtual particles. You hit them with polarized light to change their polarity and make it so that they go from being virtual particles to real particles, and then you trap them in an electron trap.
So what happened was they said, hey, you know what? This actually happens on its own in deep space.
So it's happening all around you in the space between the molecules in the air next to you. You got to remember the distance in an atom between the nucleus of the atom and the electrons orbiting it is comparable to the distance between the sun and the planets orbiting it. Most of space, 99.9999999% of everything is empty space.
So lonely and cold. So lonely and cold. So, what else happened this year that was just unbelievable? People, celebrities died, guys.
There was a new
A
Worms
lot
of the
of them
Earth
did.
album. Lots of good industrial music. New Orphix, new Haw Job.
Human Services played a show.
Yeah. There was this noise show from Human Services that was
This one time at Noise Show,
we made noise.
we beat on pots and pans.
You figured out that you could no wait, that was pickups. Playing the pickups. You figured out
yeah.
you could play pickups. That shit's cool.
Yeah, that was fun. So, man, what else we got? I know there was a ton of stuff that came out in dribs and drabs this year. It was just, the discovery of the guy actually took a picture of a photon. And it turns out it looks like a freaking...
the Maltese
Templar
cross?
It looks like a Templar cross, which is a cross section of a 3D object, which is actually a Merkaba.
Yeah.
Merkaba.
Yeah, that
So,
is pretty cool.
A single photon, essentially, is a Merkaba. And now it's being speculated that the smallest particle possible that is a Merkaba. And that essentially the universe spawned out of a single photon and fractalized out.
Wow. Makes you wonder if that original photon was, popped out of the vacuum after the universe before it, drifted so far
Who knows,
apart
man?
that space itself ceased to be.
Who knows? But if you've ever seen a Mandelbrot set,
You know what I learned
it's
this
essentially that, but in 3D.
Yeah. Well, you know what I learned this year? That due to some of the calculations that astrophysicists have done, that long after the last white dwarf is burned out, long after the last neutron star has stopped spinning, long after the last black hole has evaporated as Cherenkov radiation, there will be trillions upon trillions upon trillions of years of infinite darkness. The galaxies will have drifted so far apart from each other that even if there was any light left, that the photons would... The distances between the great dark clouds of matter that used to emit light and fill the universe with glow, the space is so great that the photons would never reach each other, and there will be eons of untold darkness. Pretty cool, huh?
Nice story. You don't know that.
Mm-hmm. The darkness always wins.
You don't know that.
Because good is dumb.
So...
we've finally this year we've gotten to speculation about whether or not gravitons really exist. Another article from Futurism, talks about On the Edge of Physics. What does gravity look like?
Yeah,
Are
we don't,
gravitons a thing?
We don't have time to read the whole thing. So.
No, we don't. But in brief, they've made attempts to marry gravity with quantum theory. Physicists have come up with a hypothetical particle, the graviton, which is said to be a massless particle that travels at the speed of light, and it'll be a long time before gravitons are actually considered part of the established subatomic pantheon. However, they did discover the Higgs boson, I believe, this year. And
yeah, that's what I was talking about. And it's
yeah.
a Merkaba. The graphic that it's if you look at the pen and paper, the line segment of it, because the graphic they give you it's weird looking, man. But if you look at the pen and paper, it's essentially like 1/4 of a Merkaba.
Yeah.
And knowing, what you would know if you research sacred geometry, that's it all fractalizes out.
Yeah.
And they all fit inside of each other. But we were talking a little bit earlier about the fake news, the people getting arrested for fake news in Egypt.
Mm-hmm.
And Obama recently signed a bill.
Oh, yeah.
That essentially is going to do the same thing here. And I'm trying to find my link to it so I can read it to you, but I don't think that's going to happen. So, it's a dangerous precedence, guys. And, if you enjoy the show and shows like it, if you enjoy considering other possibilities than what's presented to you, officially on television and other forms of mainstream media that are all essentially, as you know, if you listen to the show, controlled by the same corporations that have the same agenda, you're in trouble. Because once all this goes through, and if you think that Trump is going to be like, oh, I'm going to change that, and that's not going to affect, no. He's just going to use that to his advantage. And
I think Trump has a plan.
do what he's told.
Mm-hmm.
I
Here we
think
go.
he's going to use the power in his presidency to create his own super kingdom.
It's possible. I mean, people said the same thing about Obama. People said the same thing about Bush. There's always that lingering speculation of, is this the last election?
Well,
Will there be martial law?
Always
You know?
bet,
No,
always
but
bet
Trump-
on oligarchy, folks. Always bet on oligarchy.
I don't
Trump,
think
Trump
that's-
is the
Always-
most convincing one.
Always
though.
count on these bastards to make things look like things are just going like they've always been, while they're just using the entire force and fraud of the entire state to, solidify their own power.
So, with this bill, it was slipped into the last NDAA. If you don't know what that is, that's the National Defense Authorization Act. And every time,
The Indefinite Detention Act, the one that says you can be held indefinitely without charges.
once a year, they get a budget for the military, and they always embed just sick stuff like this. Like, in what was it, 06, we lost not habeas corpus. In 06, we lost posse comitatus. And it was funny because right after that, I was arrested by the military for protesting. Pretty interesting. So anyway, in this last one, we have the Countering Disinformation and Propaganda Act. So, in a statement, Obama said, "Today I have signed into law S-2943, which is the NDAA for 17, authorizes fiscal year 17 appropriations, principally for the Department of Defense and for Department of Energy national security programs, provides vital benefits for military personnel and their families, and includes authorities to facilitate ongoing operations around the world. It contains many critical authorizations necessary to ensure that we're able to sustain our momentum in countering the threat posed by the Islamic State of Iraq and the Levant, and to assure our European allies, as well as many new authorizations that, among other things, provide the Department of Defense and Energy more flexibility in countering cyber attacks and our adversaries' use of unmanned aerial vehicles." So, among other things.
But while the passage of the NDAA and the funding of the U.S. military was hardly a surprise, the biggest news was what was buried deep inside the provisions of the Defense Authorization Act. This is from Zero Hedge. Recall that we reported in early June a bill to implement the U.S.'s very own de facto Ministry of Truth had been quietly introduced into Congress. As with any legislation attempting to dodge the public spotlight on countering foreign propaganda and Disinformation Act of 2016 marks a further curtailment of press freedom and another avenue to stultify avenues of accurate information. Introduced by Congressman Adam Kinzinger and Ted Lieu, H.R. 5181 seeks a whole government approach without the bureaucratic restrictions to counter foreign disinformation and manipulation, which they believe threatens the world's security and stability.
The velvet glove is coming off, baby.
Yeah, time for the Iron Fist, baby.
So,
also called the Countering Information Warfare Act of 2016, Senate Bill 2692. When introduced in March by Senator Rob Portman, the legislation represents a dramatic return to Cold War era government propaganda battles. And the main focus here is RT, is who they're taking at. Portman continued, surprisingly, there is currently no single U.S. governmental agency or department charged with the national level development, integration, and synchronization of whole-of-government strategies to counter foreign propaganda and disinformation. Long before the fake news meme became a daily topic of extensive conversation on such discredited media portals such as CNN, WAPO, etc., H.R. 5181 would task the Secretary of State with coordinating with the Secretary of Defense, Director of the National Intelligence, and the Broadcasting Board of Governors to establish a Center for Information Analysis and Response, which will pinpoint issues of disinformation, analyze data, and in a true dystopic manner, develop and disseminate fact-based narratives to counter effrontery propaganda. You mean like the 9/11 Commission report?
All right.
In short, long before fake news became a major media topic, the U.S. government was already planning its legally backed crackdown on anything that it would eventually label as fake news.
All right, look, so if we follow the natural evolution of things, okay, so we know terrorism to be defined as
anything the government doesn't like.
Any criminal act, that's trying to bring about a political change. So now, if fake news becomes a crime, and a show like ours is talking about political change, it can be construed as terrorism. Now, we also know, because of Google and others, that the FBI and the Department of Justice bombard them with requests for information on individuals under the guise of terrorism laws. So, I mean, it's just more setting the groundwork.
And, you know,
for
ever
what's
since
to come.
since
Dissenting
2000
is not going to be an option, people.
Since 2001, you know what the 90% of the anti-terrorism apparatus has been used for?
Drugs.
Drug interdiction. Precisely. So that's really what it's all about, is control of the counter economy under the guise of trying to combat terrorism.
It's a slippery slope, this fake news shit, and it starts in Pizzagate and it ends with me and Dan in jail.
Yep.
And
so while we're at it, make sure to check out about the Portman-Murphy counter-propaganda bill that has been signed into law. U.S. Senators Rob Portman and Chris Murphy announced that their Countering Disinformation and Propaganda Act legislation designed to help American allies counter foreign propaganda from Russia, China, and other nations has been signed into law as part of the fiscal year 2017 NDAA. So that's fun. With this bill now law, we are finally signaling that enough is enough and the U.S. will no longer sit on the sidelines. We're going to confront this threat head on. I am confident that with the help of the bipartisan bill, the disinformation and propaganda used against us, our allies, and our interests will fail. The use of propaganda to undermine democracy has hit a new low.
It's always how it starts, man. We're just using it against other countries' propaganda.
Yeah, the way I see it, you can always trust Russia's news you can trust the Russians for news about our government, and you can trust our government for news about the Russians.
No, not really.
To an extent, if you read between the lines.
I don't think you're gonna trust our government about news.
Every government loves airing everybody else's dirty laundry while trying to cover up their own. That is what states do.
So, real quick with the last couple minutes we got here, a lot of stuff been jumping off in Antarctica. Just recently now, they found some giant thing under the ice, and they're being real tight-lipped about what it is.
I heard about this.
Now,
is
before...
that why John Kerry just went down there? Is that why,
Right, I mean, we talked about that, but before, just to reiterate, before all this stuff started coming out, the insiders in the secret space program said that there were massive ruins of a pre-Adamite civilization that came from another planet that had a disaster, and it was flash frozen because of some disaster here, and that they were spread out. They had observation posts throughout the world or whatever. They eventually ended up interbreeding, doing all that shit. That's where we get the tales of the Anunnaki from.
Oh, and those people from China, that are supposedly containing extraterrestrial DNA, or Mongolia.
So, like I said, now this latest thing is it's crazy because they're coming out and saying all this shit now, and it's kind of verifying the things that are coming out inside of the secret space program circles, which is all stuff that kind of links together through everything. Like, you talk about, the Sitchin works, the Anunnaki, just all the different Atlantis, inner Earth beings. Now, knowing about all the different bases and stuff underground, it's very possible. Maybe it's just a base.
Well, I mean, maybe it's the secret Nazi base we've been talking about this entire time.
Quite possibly.
Maybe the bastards have finally been found out, and since it's been 50 years since... What was the one where we went back? It was after High Jump, the one where we went back and supposedly nuked the bastards. It was some...
Arrow?
It was, yeah.
Or Argus?
Yeah, Operation Argus. Yeah, so maybe that shit's been cooling off for 50 years after we nuked the dog shit out of it.
Yeah, we did nuke the dog shit out of Antarctica.
And just now they're getting ready to go out and dig it all up and be like, oh, look what happened here.
All right, guys. Well, that's all we got for this week, and we will see you next week.
Thanks for a great couple of months out there, everybody listening. Be sure to tune in next week for your reality brief.
Where we'll be back
Dan,
at the secret,
Don.
undisclosed location once again.
In the
with
meantime,
our massive secret WikiLeaks files.
And may the Schwartz be with you.